Hi beautiful souls, welcome to my channel Elle's Temple. My name is Elle, I'm a goddess guide and tarot reader, and today I am so excited to be bringing you a reading all about healing for creative souls, firing up your creative power. Now this is a very special reading because I am filming this at the time of the summer solstice, which is also known as Litha in the pagan Wheel of the Year. So this reading is part of my Wheel of the Year series. To check out my other Wheel of the Year videos, see the playlist which will be in the description box below if you're interested in any of the other readings. Now at this point in the Wheel of the Year, actually just to quickly explain for those of you that are new to the Wheel of the Year, it's a pagan celebration that honors and acknowledges the shifts in season through eight main festivals that are kind of relatively equally demarcated throughout the year, and it marks the two solstices, so the winter and the summer solstice, and also the other seasonal shifts. So I've done 3 other videos for the northern hemisphere, Imbolc and Beltane, and this is the Litha one. And also coming out this week, if you are in the southern hemisphere, will be a Yule reading for you guys, because you are going to be on Yule because you're having your winter solstice. So for the northern hemisphere, for the summer solstice, basically at this point of the year, the energy is at its peak in terms of the sun energy, that solar energy. It's the longest night of the year, so it's a really good time to kind of like fire up those passions, harness that creative energy, harness that fire energy, harness those like creative projects that you've been maybe procrastinating on a little bit, or like kind of you started a little while back, or you sowed some seeds for something a little while back, and now you're just needing a wee bit of a like fire in the belly to kind of like activate that energy and start plugging some more focus and some more energy into something. You can certainly use the Wheel of the Year festivals to really like align your own energy with the energy of the season, so that you can start to like fire up your manifestations and so forth. So it is a really potent time for those of you that are doing any creative projects, or just wanting to creatively visualize something in your life or manifest something. It's a really, really potent time. So I would highly recommend doing some kind of fire ritual. If you have the ability to have a bonfire, then that would be fantastic, or just any kind of like, you can light a little candle or something like that and set your intentions for this summer solstice. Now, the messages in this reading overall are timeless. So even though I'm filming it at the time of the summer solstice and it's linked with the Litha festival as part of the Wheel of the Year, even if you're in the southern hemisphere or you're drawn to this at another time of the year, please don't worry. The messages themselves are going to be relevant to you whenever you feel drawn to this reading. Okay, my lovies. So to introduce the reading as well, we have got the beautiful goddess Saraswati here, who is all about sacred wisdom, essence, expression. She's a wonderful goddess to call on when you're wanting to express yourself, when you're wanting to fire out those creative powers, when you're wanting to connect with the muse more powerfully, when you're wanting to create some focus in your life, some routines or discipline to get some kind of creative project done, or to come up with like creative ideas around that project, and just more authentically express yourself as who you truly are, because this is all about your true soul essence. Here we've got the keyword essence on this beautiful card. So it's all about expressing your soul's essence. So Saraswati is going to be kind of the guiding goddess overseeing this reading, but we have 4 different piles for you today. So to introduce each of the piles, we have got card number 1, wild energy, focusing your creative power. So you'll be pile number 1 if you're drawn to this card. The timestamps will be below. Okay, so wild energy, you'll be pile number 1. So just to quickly explain, in case you're new to pick a card readings, I'm going to introduce each of these 4 cards. These are selection cards. So if you feel drawn to one of the 4 cards, the timestamp for your reading will be below, and you can click on that and it will take you to a perhaps more personalized reading than you might get if it was just an overall general reading. Okay, if you are drawn to this pile here, this card here, Pink Seeds, Growth Under the Surface, you'll be pile number 2. These cards are from the Creative Consciousness Healing deck, which I've just got, and I absolutely love it. They're so gorgeous. And Rainbow Boundary, Protecting Your True Self. If you're drawn to this gorgeous card, you will be pile number 3. See if I can focus it there. There we go. And last but not least, if you're drawn to soft breeze, allowing flow and ease, your pile number 4 and also your card number 4. So that's very aligned there. So take a moment to pause the video, my loves, if you need a little bit more time to choose which pile might be yours. Certainly if you are drawn to more than one pile, then just trust that there are messages from across the piles that you just need to kind of cobble together to make your reading. And I will see you in your piles. Okay. Hi there, pile number 1. If you chose the beautiful wild energy card, this will be your reading. All about healing for creative souls. Fire up your creative power. Now, I feel like for you, pile number 1, you already have a lot of creative power. I'm already picking up, a lot of creative energy within you. I feel like you have a lot of ideas, a lot of creative inspiration. You're very connected with the muse. You're just a very powerful person. Some of you might be able to manifest a lot, like you have a lot of creative manifesting ability. But even if you're in some kind of creative field, you're very, very powerful, especially with this kind of pink snake here. I feel like you're very connected with your like feminine energy, your kundalini energy, that kind of Shakti energy that sits coiled at the base of the spine, and kind of, at some point in your life, you might get a sort of awakening process, and then that kundalini energy gets activated and it starts to kind of spiral up through your chakras and fires you up with a lot of like beautiful inspiration. And I'm just hearing a plane going across the sky. So yeah, I feel like this is you, like soaring high, like you have a lot of energy that is going to propel you into a very exciting future, very like the heights of some sort of creative field or something is kind of the energy that I'm getting. But I feel like with focusing your creative power, the key thing is here, pile number 1, to ensure that all this creative energy that you have, that you're really focusing it in on something specific, or focusing it on like what you do want to create in your life, or what you do want to amplify in your life, or what you do want to get completed in your life, as opposed to it might be that you might have so much kind of creative energy that it can sometimes end up, I don't want to say like you use it for destruction, but it could be that it could get a little bit distorted, and you might end up having a lot of issues with maybe like just feeling really overstimulated, really possibly like very, very anxious or something along those lines, like be overthinking a lot, or like a lot of kind of mental energy is what I'm picking up on. So I'm also getting with the card number 13, 3 + 1 in numerology adds up to 4, and 4 is all about foundations and creating strong foundations for your like career, I guess, or your work, or whatever creative project you want to put out there. So it's important to kind of like honor that wild energy that you naturally have, like honor that wild spirit, that like that kind of like serpent energy that wants to kind of move you in these different directions and gives you all these kind of creative, passionate kind of passionate sort of pulls towards certain things. It's important to honor the wild side of yourself, but then also to balance that out, I guess, a little bit with a bit of foundation, where you're then taking all that kind of beautiful creative energy and then like plugging it into something specific or some kind of creative project and seeing it really grow. And you can certainly use this if you're watching this at the time of upload. As I mentioned in the introduction, in case you missed it, this is the time of summer solstice. So it's a really powerful, potent time. If you want to align your energies with the energies of nature, and we're all part of nature, right? You can certainly harness that solar power, harness that energy to like shine your light, shine your inner sun. And I can feel like here you have that part of you already. There's a lot of yellow. She's wearing a yellow top here. Hopefully you can see that okay. Whoopsie, sorry to bump the camera, but yeah, she's wearing a lot of yellow in this. There's a lot of yellow flowers around here. So I think it's kind of about like harnessing that wild power, harnessing that creative energy, and then shining your light out. You can see there's all this like sparkles of light that are kind of coming out from her, which I feel like is like once you've really harnessed that wild energy and focused it and created a foundation for that energy, you can kind of like spread that energy outward into the world where it's supposed to go, so that it can kind of be constructive for you. It can lead to good things for you. It can create like reciprocal connections or bring some, perhaps like monetary things in or something like that. And I just saw 1010 on the clock, so which 10 and 10 is like the number, it's like 1 and 1 in numerology, so that's 11, which means in alignment. So coming into alignment is really important. Coming into alignment with creating that foundation is really important for you. So let's get into the other oracle card messages for you. So we have got the creator. Yes, you guys are totally creators. You might be painters, you might be artists, like in a traditional sense, like you might actually create certain pieces of art, or you just are a really powerful creator. You have these visions, you have these visual ideas. Like I feel like this looks a little bit like an eye with an iris in the middle, like all these sort of the way it kind of sprinkles out like that. It's like you have a strong creative visualization power where you can sort of see a future, you can see a vision, you can see an idea for a project, whether that's, like I say, art, or like it could be, it could be writing, it could be doing something with your hands, some kind of craft project, it could be creating a business, for example, it could be designing oracle cards or something. Maybe some of you are oracle card designers. It could be just like using more creativity in your job, right? Because being a creator or being a creative or a creative soul doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, you're out there sort of being a painter in Paris or something, like in a traditional sense. You could be that, which would be amazing if you are. But, for some people, it's more about just like harnessing that power to have a vision for something and make it happen. So some of you may even be in creative roles in your workplace. So you might be like, graphic designers, or like, a head of a creative team, or like do sort of visual arts, or you work in media or something like that. But I feel like even aside from that energy, it's like you've got a lot of your own wild energy, right? It's like you have your kind of day job and you have your energy in terms of all the things that you do in your day-to-day work maybe, and that uses up perhaps a portion of your creativity. But then you've also got this like passionate side of you that is like maybe into some completely different aspect of creativity, or you just have all these like ideas and all these things. Like I just get this vibe of like so much energy pulsing through you, like so many ideas, so many passions, and it's almost like, oh, which one do I pick? Like which color? It's like there's all these different colors in the rainbow in this particular card. It's like, which one do I pick to paint? Which one do I pick to paint with? I said, which one do you pink there? So pink might be the color to paint with. And we had the pink snake on here as well, which is a lot to do with that like feminine energy. So I guess if you are having difficulties harnessing that energy and directing it into some particular project, and you're struggling to know which one that is, and you're getting a bit up in your head and overthinking that, then that feminine energy, that intuition, that like part of your feminine self. And again, this isn't, as I've mentioned on previous videos, this isn't to do with gender or to do with whether you identify as male or female. This is to do with energy. So we all have feminine energy within us, and it's just about like harnessing that intuitive energy, right? Harnessing that like that pull. Like what are you feeling most pulled towards? What are you feeling most kind of excited by? What are you feeling most passionate about? And then kind of going with that and like really creating a strong foundation so that you can put some focus into creating something specific and seeing it grow. There's also, like I said, there's a lot of yellow. I mean, there's all the colors of the rainbow here, but there's a lot of yellow. It kind of spreads all the way around like this. So it's like a sun energy, which is very appropriate because this is a summer solstice reading. So this might be kind of saying the summer solstice is going to like really like activate your creative juices again, activate your creative powers again, bring back some passions that might have been either a little bit dormant, or like maybe feeling a little bit lackluster recently, or you just haven't really had the time or focus, right? Because your focus has maybe been pulled in different directions. or you've been distracted by other things. And now it's kind of like you can really harness that energy at this time, because it is such a potent time to like really tap into that solar power, that solar energy, that sun energy, that energy that's about like shining your light, expressing yourself, being at the like height of your creative powers. Just feeling really passionate and actually doing something about those passions, I feel like is something that is you're being called to step into more powerfully. Let's see what else we have. So, oh, beautiful. I love this. So we've got the 9 of Wands here, which is from the Kim Kranz. This is the Archetype deck, and this is the Wild Unknown Tarot. So I feel like this is so interesting. We've got the moon here, which is symbolic of the feminine. So as I was speaking about with the pink snake, this is about if you're not sure which direction to go in, if you're not sure which color to pick from your pantheon of colors, so to speak, to paint with, then tapping into that intuition, tapping into that feminine energy, tapping into like that emotional energy, like where do you feel most drawn towards emotionally? And we've got the moon here, which is right at the top of these steps kind of thing. We've got these like steps of wands, or steps of logs that go all the way up, and then we've got this crescent moon at the top, symbolizing that like intuitive energy. So it's like the more you tap into that intuitive energy, the more clarity you're going to get, because we've got all this kind of darkness in the background down here, and it's like as you might have started stepping more into your creative power, at each step it might have felt like kind of more and more difficult, more of a burden, like how am I going to get through this? But then like as you keep going, it's like you're almost there. You're the 9 of Wands. You're almost at the end. You're almost at the end of a cycle at the 10 of Wands. So maybe some of you have well been working on a project for a period of time. You might have been working on a painting. You might have been working on a film. You might have been working on a screenplay. You might have been working on something that requires a certain level of like creative visualization, I feel like, to see it through to fulfillment. And I feel like you've kind of started down here, and at the point that you started, you didn't really know, you didn't have a lot of clarity about where you were going, as with many creative projects, right? You just kind of go with where the muse pulls you, go with where you're feeling, kind of intuitively led by, I guess. And the more you follow that intuition, the more it's going to lead to some more clarity for you, and you're going to start to get further and further towards the end of this project, and it's like you'll be able to see the end. The end is in sight. You'll be able to get to that point where you can put all those like I guess burdens, but I don't feel like it's a burden in a traditional sense of like burdened with responsibility or burdened with, say, money worries or something, although you may have had those things along this path. I feel like it's just more to do with like harnessing your creative energy in a powerful way and getting it to a point where it kind of it's like marrying the kind of feminine and the masculine, if you like, marrying that yin energy and that yang energy, like taking what you're feeling creatively inspired by with that kind of pink snake, taking what that creativity is pulling you to do, and then like harnessing it in a way where you're like, okay, what is the next step in this project? I need to actually just create a plan here. I need to get focused. I need to create a foundation, and I need to take those steps to get it finished. I need to take those clear, logical steps to do this part of the project, then that part of the project, and then there's that part of the project. And then finally, it's like you're kind of on the 9th step now out of 10. It's like you're nearly at the 10 of Wands, where you can just let go of all those other stages that you've had to go through. All the work that you've put in up to this point is going to pay off, is the feeling that I'm getting. So if you have been like invested in some kind of project, if you have been investing energy into something for a long period of time, and it feels like, gee, like, oh my goodness, I don't know if I've got it in me to get to the end. Like, oh, this feels like such a slog. Like maybe some of you, I'm just getting a vibe, someone's at university or something, or you're at some kind of creative college or school, and you're trying to finish your like end of the year project or something, and you're like, you've just got that little bit further to go before you can reach the top. And just keep going, keep trusting your intuition, trust that where you've been guided with this project, it is going to pay off. You are going to get to the end. There might just be a little period at this point with the Nine of Wands, it can sometimes speak of like having a tiny rest before you keep going. So having a little bit of a time out where you gather your energy, you tune into your intuition, you focus that energy, especially if you've been very distracted by lots of other things. You just get that energy really harnessed, really focused, so that you can, boom, just get that last push done. And then, you know, if you are watching this at the time of the solstice, you might find that this aligns with when the harvest festivals happen later in the year. You're at that point then when you can actually like harvest something, especially it might be monetary gain or some kind of recognition, or just getting your name out there in some way, or contacts, or meeting people as a result of finishing that project that lead to something else. You know, you just never know, but there might be something that will come of it that you can really harvest as a result of this last little bit of push that you need to do, this last little bit of effort, this last little bit of like, you know, planting one more like wand, if you like. We've got the 9 wands, and then there's just kind of one more to go before you reach the top. So keep going, keep plugging at it. You've got this part number 1. You've got a lot of creative power. It's just keeping it focused, keeping it harnessed, and you can visualize, you know, yourself finishing it. You are, like it says here in this archetype card, you are a creator. So, you know, see yourself, visualize yourself, use creative visualization meditations and things to see yourself like finishing it. So if you're a writer, see yourself like finishing that book. If you're a painter, see yourself like doing those last brush strokes on the painting. If you're a filmmaker, you know, see yourself finishing that last scene or something like that. And you know, the process that you're using as part of your creative work, you can also use that, you know, to actually like creatively see yourself like finishing that work and getting to that last stage. So let's see what else we've got here. We've got, oh, beautiful, Season of the Witch with magic. Yeah, I feel like this links up with what I was saying about like using creative visualization, you know, using manifestation tools. I also see with this as well, this is linked with this focusing your power, because with the like, she's cast this circle around her, and this is a lot to do with like harnessing and focusing her power, harnessing and focusing her magic. She's also got a book here, so some of you may well be writing books or writing or something, or you can write your intentions down for this creative project and then cast a circle. This could be a good ritual actually for this period right now. I know it's got a pumpkin in the background and it's kind of looks a little bit more like a Samhain ritual, but you can do this any time of year, and you can certainly do this for the Litha festival if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or just wherever you are. You can just do it anyway, but just drawing a circle and putting candles around you, because it's harnessing that fire energy, it's harnessing that solar energy. So yeah, put 5 candles around you and sit in the middle of the circle and write your intentions for what you want to achieve or finish or focus on over this coming period to get to the stage of finishing this project. So you have the magic within you, you have the power within you to get this completed. You have the power to to like focus and get whatever it is out of this that you want, that you need. And it'll be different for all of you. You'll be all at different stages of this, but I do feel like using, especially if you already are, like you already identify as a witch, or you already do some kind of rituals or magical practices or set intentions, it's just a little reminder to like, don't forget about that like magical practice, because that will help you with these creative projects. You can like, you know, fuse those two energies together. Next we have New Beginnings. Take a fresh look at life. Beautiful. I love this energy. So yeah, I feel like you're going to go through this period with these hairs here. These are symbolic of like fertility, right? And that like, you know, creative energy with the fertility and the egg. It's like, you know, being able to fertilize a new idea and then like see it grow. So I think you're going to be, once you reach the end of this cycle, you're going to create a whole new beginning for yourself. You're going to have a whole fresh look at like your creative career, maybe, if that's something that you want, or just, you know, like I said, just using creativity more in your life, but using creative visualization more in your life, using like creative manifestation techniques or something more in your life. If you don't identify as like a traditional, say, artist in some way, there's just going to be something that you're going to create for yourself. Maybe for some of you, this could actually speak of literal fertility. So some of you might be trying to create a child, right? Trying to conceive. So I feel like this is, if that's what you're trying to do, then this is confirmation that there is going to be a new beginning. You do have that like fertile power within you. It's just like getting to that last stage. You know, maybe you've been trying to conceive for a while. You've been trying to fertilize a project for a while. But I feel like for most of you, it's less to do with like literal conception and more to do with creative conception. Like you've been working at something for a while, you've been trying to focus your creative power, but I feel like it's maybe been a little bit pulled in different directions, and now you're kind of getting to the end of something and you've got a new beginning that's coming as a result of this like creative energy that you have within you, which is really, really strong. So that is really beautiful. There is something fresh and new coming for you, and I feel like it's something you're going to love. There's a lot of green energy here, which is linked with the heart chakra, which is all about, you know, emotional fulfillment, feeling like really good about things, feeling really happy in yourself, enjoying your life. So I think there is going to be a beautiful fresh start. There is going to be something that's going to come as a result of this. So next we have alchemic. Wow, beautiful card number 25. Yeah, so I feel like this is kind of taking something that might have been kind of a difficult situation, or taking your pain or something, taking some kind of experiences or circumstances or something that happened to you, and like really alchemizing them into something new, something gold, something that is a whole new thing, right? Because alchemy talks all about if you think of like the magician card in tarot, which is linked with the process of alchemy, it's like using all the elements, using magic, right? Using your manifestation power, using your creative power to turn like base metal into gold, to take something that was like maybe a shitty situation or maybe a difficult situation or something like that, and turning it into gold, like alchemizing it, like putting it through a process, a creative process, and then actually like creating something so much more beautiful out of that. And I'm just feeling like something like I'm being drawn to speak about, or I'm hearing like Adele, like singers, or a lot of musicians, right? Not just traditional musicians, even like pop or any musician really, but like musicians, right? They take pain, they take something that was very difficult and they turn it into power. They turn it into something that like, it sort of ends up empowering them, right? Like they can take like maybe a breakup, for example, or something, and then they end up writing beautiful music, and then they put that out in the world. They create, a whole album maybe out of all of those experiences that were quite painful or difficult at the time. They alchemize that pain into a creative process, and they go through all that difficulty of like not really knowing what they're going to do with it, just kind of laying those steps, kind of putting the practice in, putting the hard yards in, going forward with it where their intuition is leading them. And you just never know like where that might lead. Like I feel like I don't know the exact story about Adele. If you know about her, you can comment below, but I feel like maybe she might have come from quite humble beginnings, and I think she had to like really put in the hard yards, and then now she's like world famous singer kind of thing. So also with the color blue on this card, this is linked with the throat chakra, which is all about, your self-expression. So coming back to what I said at the beginning about Saraswati, it's all about, expressing your essence, expressing your true self, expressing your authenticity. Having an open throat chakra allows you to speak and express yourself clearly. And again, she's playing a musical instrument here. So some of you might be musicians, some of you might be speakers, some of you might be writers, some of you might be painters. It can be like expressing yourself through art as well. It doesn't just have to be speaking things. But it's just throat chakra is all about self-expression, feeling confident, expressing your creativity out into the world. And I feel like you have this naturally within you already. And again, we've got 25, which in numerology adds up to the number 7, and 7 is also about like, it's a very spiritual number. But it's also about the end of a cycle as well. It can speak of the end of a cycle because we have 7 days in the week and so forth. So I feel like this is under that 9 of Wands, and I spoke about you're kind of getting towards the end of something, just to keep going with it, keep going with this alchemy process. You will get the gold out of it at the end, I feel like. And coming back to what I was saying at the beginning with this wild energy card, the more you focus, the more you kind of get clearer on the direction that you're going in and put those practices in place, the more kind of gold you'll have to be able to that you will have alchemized to be able to spread out into the world and then receive something back from that process. So finally, we have for your Earth Alchemy card, we've got Pixie Helpers and Green Aventurine. Not all wanderers are lost, clearing the way, luck and opportunity. Yeah, I feel like that is such a beautiful card to end on, because it's just saying keep going. Things are other distractions and other things that haven't been working out are going to be cleared away. You might have been feeling like you've been wandering, right, for a long time. You've been going down this creative path for a long time, and you're like, when am I going to see some opportunities? When am I going to finally get the chance to, I don't know, sing on stage, or put my work out there, or finish this project at university or something, or get some contacts or get some acclaim or do an exhibition. If you're a photographer or a artist in some form, you're just when is that opportunity going to come? You might feel like you've just been wandering and wandering and wandering in the desert, and there's just been no opportunities for you. But it is just saying the more that you plug away at this, the more that you focus your energy, you are going to start to receive some luck. And carrying a green aventurine crystal could be very helpful for you. It's a really I've used green aventurine, and it is very lucky, actually. It does bring luck, so I would highly recommend that for you. And I feel like for those of you that are connected with the elemental world, with the little kind of frogs are also symbolic of fertility, so we've got a double message about fertility here. So you are very creatively fertile. Do not worry about that. You've got a lot of beautiful ideas that are being fertilized, that are coming into their height, that are coming into their power, and you are going to start to see the way is going to be cleared. You're going to start to get some luck. You're going to start to get things going your way. You're going to start to get some new opportunities and things coming for you. Okay, my lovely part number 1. So I'm going to leave your reading there. I feel like that is all the messages that I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for those of you who've been leaving comments. I so appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you're not already, and the notification bell so you'll be notified when I next upload a reading. If you enjoyed this reading and you liked this content, hit the like button, because it helps tell me which content is resonating for you and tells the YouTube algorithm to send my videos around. I so appreciate you, those of you who've been doing that. Thank you again, and I will see you in the next reading. All my love. Bye. Hi there, pile number 2. If you chose the Pink Seeds card, Growth Under the Surface, this will be your reading. So for you, in terms of the firing up your creative power, I feel like for you, pile number 2, there's not that much firing up to be done, really. I feel like you've kind of already planted some seeds for something, and actually the energy for you is more about being in a state of, I guess, patience and receptivity, and feeling comfortable kind of knowing that, if you think about the seasons, or if you think about, the stages of a plant growing, right? There's a point where you plant the seeds and you can't immediately go digging under the soil to see oh, are they growing? Is something going to come of this? Am I going to get money from it? Or am I going to get recognition from this? Or, is this the right creative project for me? Or is this what I'm meant to be doing? Or is this my purpose? Or, whatever it might be that you're trying to figure out from those kind of seeds that you've already planted. I feel like the seeds are planted, there is growing that's being done, but it hasn't broken through the surface yet. You haven't quite broken through on something. And I feel like for you, Pal, too, that is okay. That is just the stage that you're at. It's not that you need to do anything. It's more about not doing in a way. It's more about just letting that process happen, because there's something around, it's like, I don't know whether it's necessarily a divine timing thing or just this the nature of the particular project that you're doing, and it'll be different for all of you. But there's something that kind of just needs to gestate, is what I'm hearing. Like, so if you think of a plant, you think of, say, a rose bush or something. Like, you plant the seeds and you give it everything that the seeds need. Like, you put it in a place where it can have sun, and you water it, etc., etc. And for a period of time, it's just, you're not going to see much. Like, you're not going to see anything out on the surface. Like, the roses aren't necessarily going to come through on the first year, right? But you just keep like trusting, like you've planted it, you just make sure that it's getting the nutrients it needs, or make sure the soil's right. You would have done all your due diligence to make sure that happened when you planted it, and it's getting all the sun that it needs, and it's getting making sure there's rain and everything like that, and it's not planted in an area of the garden that's too dry or something. And just trusting that when the timing is right, like when the season is right, if you like, it will start to just suddenly bloom and blossom, and things will start to come up from under the surface. I feel like you have a lot of different things. There's like lots of seeds here that are all growing under the surface, these little cute pink seeds. And I feel like with the color pink, this is linked with like that sort of feminine energy, if you like, or the heart chakra. The heart chakra is also green as well, but one of the colors of like the higher heart chakra is pink, which is to do with that like feeling really in love with what you're doing, really feeling emotionally fulfilled with these things. And I think all these little seeds that you've planted, they are going to grow eventually, and they are going to be something that's going to be very emotionally fulfilling. But you just have to trust that at the moment you can't necessarily see the blossoming or see the growth yet, but just trust that you have planted them and they are still there, and they are going to sprout and blossom for you eventually. And I just saw 4-4 on the clock, and fours are all about like planting foundations, right? So that's just so appropriate, because and your card actually is also number 43, so another 4. So some of you may be in your 40s, you may be a little bit older, but not necessarily for all of you. It just might be that you're just going through a stage of planting something. I'm just kind of thinking of like the 4 of Wands in tarot, for those of you that know tarot, where it's like you've planted those 4 wands in the ground. You've created that foundation for yourself. So you've planted the seeds of something that is a strong foundation that is going to grow, but there's just a period of maybe not seeing very much above the surface at this point, but just trusting that they're still there, and not to go kind of like digging under the soil being like, where are my roses? Like, are they not growing? Like, did they get lost? Like, Spirit wants to kind of, or your guides want to confirm they're not lost, that you haven't lost your creative manifestations. Or if you had an idea for, like, I don't know, maybe a book or a project, or some kind of creative work, some kind of creative piece, maybe a theater piece or something like that, and you started it, and then it just kind of like, you sowed the seed of it. Like, maybe you wrote the outline of it, or you met up with some actors who wanted to be in it, but like you can't do it right now because like one of them is on another project, so it's kind of ground to a halt, right? Or something along those lines. That's the kind of vibe I'm getting, is like, you can't move forward with this yourself, and that's okay. You're not meant to right now. Like, it's meant to be under the surface, and it is going to come through very soon. So let's have a look at your other oracle cards and see what else we have here. So first we have the the unseen. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Ditto, basically what I was just talking about. It's unseen, right? Like this is your archetype. So I feel like maybe there is a little bit of possibly frustration within yourself, that like maybe you've been trying to do something, or trying to like get something out in the world to be seen. So this could be like, I'm kind of picking up like, a play, someone who's a playwright, or I don't know, or like a filmmaker, or a video content creator or a photographer or something where it's like work that gets seen, or it could be writing, you know, because it could be like getting your writing seen, you know, getting it seen by an agent, getting it seen by a publisher, like something to do with like a piece of work or something, a project that you started and you're trying to get it seen, and you're perhaps a little bit frustrated because like the archetype you feel like you've been maybe stuck in is this, the unseen. Like, I'm just, you know, like no one wants to look at my work is the vibe I'm getting. Like, no one will see me, no one will see who I truly am, like no one's looking at my work, like no one's, maybe some of you have channels, like you might have a YouTube channel or a TikTok channel or something as well, you might be social media creators, and you're like, no one's seeing me, like no one's seeing my stuff, like my work's not getting out there, or you know, something along those lines. Or, and I so hear your frustration, and I so understand your predicament and the pain of that. But I feel like it's coming back to, I'm being drawn back to say this again, growth under the surface. It doesn't look like it now. You're not seeing the results yet, but trust your guides when they say it is growing under the surface. There's something, it's like it's just not the right season yet for some reason. You know, like I said, with the coming back to the plant analogy again, sorry to bang on about this, but they're bringing me back to this again, because it's like you have planted that seed, you have started that project. Say you've started a channel, right? And you've maybe set it up, you've done the banner, you've got the logo, you started doing a couple of videos, or maybe even more than a couple, you've done quite a few now, and it's still not quite getting any traction maybe. And it's like, you are growing, and this is growing, and it is going to grow, and it's going to get to a breakthrough point. But right now, what I'm hearing is like there's a kind of a bedding down period of just being consistent with what you're doing and continuing to like plug good energy into it and stay focused on the outcome that you do want to receive, and keep consistent with the work, and trust that like the effort that you're putting in, spirit is going to meet that as well. So for example, you know, with the plant example, you've planted the seed, and you can do as much as you can do as a gardener, but then like there's a certain element of surrendering, right? And leaving it up to nature, and leaving it up to the sun, right? To like shine down on the plant and give it the nutrients from the sun, or the, you know, the, I don't know enough about biology, I can't remember, but like whatever the sun does exactly to like help the plant grow, it gives it that like heat and stuff to like, you know, help it grow. Or like the water, you know, from the rain, or from you, you know, if there's no rain, from you kind of watering the soil and making sure it has that. So yeah, it's kind of like there's a process that is your process, which is you can only do so much, where like you've planted that seed and now it's growing under the surface, and you have to trust that it's still growing. And then there's a process that's kind of like you need to surrender to, because the other part of the process is like spirit's process. So that's like there's things being worked out behind the scenes. There's things like where nature is doing its job, right? Like the sun and the rain and stuff needs to kind of come and like percolate things to kind of actually see that breakthrough. So like, for example, this could be, say, with the YouTube creator, or a social media creator rather, or something like that. It could be like you've done your job of starting the channel, of planting that seed, of creating a little bit of content. Now you have to trust that you've done your job, and there's a certain amount of trust and just surrendering to spirit doing its job, or the algorithm doing its job, to kind of like pick some of this content up and put it out there, you know, and get that recognition and be seen again. So yeah, I feel like it is going to happen. It's just you're not seeing it above the surface yet, but just trust that it is going to come about. Next, we have the Eight of Swords. This is a very interesting Eight of Swords on this. This is from the Kim Cran's World Unknown Tarot, which is, this is the same creator as for the Archetypes deck. And And I love that in this case, it's like, it's just another nature analogy, which is basically echoing what I was talking about with the plants under, or the seeds under the soil. This is a butterfly that's in its cocoon, right? And it's being lifted up above like all of this competition, or all of these swords, all of these like possibly quite strict, like difficult things that could be trying to like pierce the butterfly, or like, you know, that could disrupt that process. And now this could be your thoughts, because swords are to do with like, yeah, your mind. You know, the Eight of Swords can speak of like how you've confined your own thoughts, like how, like your own self-beliefs, like limiting self-beliefs, like believing that you're stuck, you know, believing that you're always going to be like unseen or something, or your work's never going to get out there or something like that. And I feel like it's like, this is spirit. This is the sort of spirit that's like lifting you up away from all that negative self-talk, or away from the negative talk of others. Or this could be other people trying to like have a go at you, like, oh, why is your work not succeeding? Like, why are you not more established yet? Like, you've been working on this for a while, you've done loads of things, like you've planted lots of seeds, and you know, blah 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 blah, or something like that. But I feel like it's less other people, to be honest, and more your own mind doing this to you, more your own thoughts being like, why am I not more successful? Why are none of these seeds I'm planting getting like growing or being seen? And it's like, you're still this butterfly still in a cocoon. You're in the cocoon stage, and you're in the cocoon stage for a reason. And eventually you're going to get that nudge internally, or there's going to come a point in nature that just happens, right? You know, in the same way that like the plant just suddenly one day it just starts blossoming and the roses come out, and like you can't control the rose. You can't go over to it and shout at it and be like, grow, 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 come out, come out, come out. Or shout at the butterfly in the cocoon and be like, fly, fly, butterfly, fly. Like, you can't make it faster, is the vibe I'm getting. And it's the same with you and your own growth. You can't force it to be faster or to be more seen at this point. It's growing, it's just not being seen just yet. And there's a reason for that. You are going to eventually get to a point where you'll break out of the cocoon. I feel like it's like you kind of maybe see yourself as still a caterpillar, when actually it's like you've already died to that self. The caterpillar self is gone. You already are a butterfly. See, you can see all the you know, the, whoops, sorry for bumping the camera. You can see the beautiful monarch butterfly colors and everything. It just hasn't, it's not ready to fly yet. You know, you're maybe just not ready to fly yet. But you will be. You will be, pile 2. You absolutely will be. So let's have a look at your other oracle cards. Okay, so next we have, oh my goodness, all these cards. Oh, they're so, like, just every card is kind of syncing up today so amazingly. I love it when this happens. Card number 29, January's rebirth. This is all a card about, like, you know, if you live in the Northern Hemisphere, January is winter, right? You know, so it's a time when there's no real growth, or at least no growth that you can actually see yet, right? It's like the ground is covered in snow. Like, look at the tree, you know, the tree is bare. It doesn't look like anything's growing. Like, it looks just like everything is dead and dying and nothing's happening, and nature is just completely dead. But it's not really dead, it's just asleep. It's just like in hibernation mode, or in like cocoon mode. And there is going to be a rebirth, just like with like the seasons, with the year. You know, after January there's a rebirth, right? Like February, you start to see the little seeds, the little, like, you get this, the what are they, the snowdrops start to come through. You know, you start feeling like, you know, you see little buds, little tiny things, and then March, you know, some of the blossoms and things come out. But like right now in your cycle of your creative work or your creative career, or this particular project, if it's a particular thing that you're creating that you're trying to get seen, you're in a rebirth cycle. You're in a cycle where you're meant to just rest and allow and be patient and trust that, like, after this January period, after this like kind of sleep period, things will start to regrow again. And I feel like this is so beautiful. It's such a like message that's so linked with nature, and this is part of a Wheel of the Year reading, so it's so powerful. Although it's funny because some of you watching might be actually in the southern hemisphere. You'll have comment below if you are. I'll be really interested to see this, because you might be in the southern hemisphere, so you're going through like the equivalent of January, but right now, because I'm uploading this at the summer solstice in June, which is summer here in the northern hemisphere, but like I feel like for you in your life or in your career, or like I said, in the stage of cycle that you're at with this project, you're in January, like winter energy. Like you're like cozied up indoors with like, you know, your mug of hot tea or cocoa, whatever you're drinking. See here, you've got like, you know, you're looking at sort of the wild weather outside. You've got your journal. You're doing like some self-reflection, some like lots of rest. You know, you can see this woman sitting on her bed. So there's just lots of like resting and recuperating. You know, so yeah, I feel like you may be in the southern hemisphere, but even if you're not, even if you're in the northern hemisphere and it's summer and everyone else is out there partying and celebrating all sorts of projects or something, maybe some of you are students and like it's the end of the university year or the college year, and other people have gotten an offer or something, right? Like they've had their work seen and now they're like being celebrated, and you're like, you haven't maybe yet. Just trust that there's a reason for that. You're still just in this cocoon stage. You're being cocooned for a reason. You're being sort of rested for a reason. You're being sort of like put on like a hibernation mode for a reason, and it's because there is going to be all this growth that's going to come after that period. Let's have a look what else we have. Forgiveness, compassion, and kindness. Yeah, I feel like this is for you to do for yourself. Pile number 2. I feel like this is kind of saying like to go easy on yourself, to be kind to yourself, to be compassionate to yourself, like not to talk, you know, not to have the negative self-talk, right? I spoke about that with this card, that some of you are like, you know, you're this little butterfly in the cocoon, and then you've got all these negative thoughts coming at your creative self, like, oh, when are you going to produce more stuff? When are you going to get out there? Like, when are we going to crush the competition? Like, why is this so slow? Like, why is nothing growing? Why is no one seeing my work? Like really getting down on yourself, and like kind of, I'm just seeing someone who's being kind of so hard on themselves and not compassionate with the stage in life that they're at, or not compassionate with the stage of work that they're in, or not compassionate with maybe their body or something. Like maybe some of you are being held back or put on a bit of a recuperative period because your health hasn't been at full strength, maybe, you know, so you're having to like cocoon, you're having to hibernate from you know, the crowds, from that like wild summer energy a little bit, and kind of go through a bit of a like rest and recuperate and recover your energy before you can kind of go back out in the world and kind of be seen. So I feel like just go easy with yourself at this time, you know, don't push yourself, don't force yourself into anything, because it's just not quite the right timing just yet. It doesn't mean it won't ever be, it's just not right now. Next we have inspiring. Oh, I love this. And I'm getting with this like shell and the pearls, I'm getting like massive goddess Aphrodite energy just like bursting out of the sea. So I feel like this is kind of saying like you are going to get that inspiration back. You are going to feel inspired again, and you are going to be inspiring to others. You are going to be a source of inspiration for others. This card is like super blue. There's lots of blue here, which is linked with the throat chakra, which is all about expressing your truth, expressing your authentic self, expressing your true essence. I spoke about that in the intro with Goddess Saraswati, and she's a really beautiful goddess to call on if you want help with expressing your essence. And expressing yourself, any kind of creative endeavor that you're doing, especially if you're a musician or a speaker or anything like that. Like, yeah, this is Saraswati is a really good one to help heal any throat chakra issues and help you express your true essence. And I feel like when you are fully a butterfly and you're ready to like crack out of that cocoon and fly, you will just poof, like come out of the ocean like goddess Aphrodite, like on a wave, on a shell, you know, just like this beautiful, you're just going to be this beautiful like pearl of light that is so inspiring to others, and so expressive and so beautiful. And you will be seen like, you know, like goddess Aphrodite is like, you know, hello, she's just like the most visually adored goddess probably in the universe. Like, you know, the statues and the paintings and the things that are dedicated to her above any other goddess, you know, are so, they're just everywhere. So I think like your work is gonna, you know, all these little seeds you've sown, like your stuff is gonna get out there, it is gonna get seen. And there's a siren going, so I think that's like confirmation from some of you, from like your angels or your guides, that like you are gonna make some noise, you are gonna be heard, you are gonna be inspiring. We've got the number 27 here as well. So some of you may be 27, so this could be your confirmation, or it might be that like you're a bit younger at this point, but like when you're 27, that will be at a point when, you know, you start to like, yeah, kind of blossom into your true self or express your true self and be seen for your true self. It could be, yeah, like later in your 20s that starts to happen for you. But it doesn't have to be. But I'm getting, yeah, 27 and 29 here. So some of you could be around that like Saturn return age. So yeah, you might be going through a phase where like what you were previously doing is like, you know, like the caterpillar thing. And I just saw 555. I saw 5555 on the clock, and fives are all to do with change. So yeah, your Saturn return might be kicking in, which is like, you know, bringing quite a significant change or rebirth. We've got January's rebirth, and we've got the butterfly, which is a symbol of rebirth. It's literally rebirth itself from being a caterpillar. So maybe some of you were in this like caterpillar stage in your life where you were just kind of crawling along doing, you know, something mundane or something, and now, you know, you're going through this rebirth, you're going through this whole like transformation, this whole like rebirthing yourself into the butterfly and inspiring self that you truly are. But just, it's so important to be compassionate and kind to yourself as you go through this process. And last we have pink chalcedony, creativity, self-expression, life is your canvas. Exactly. I just don't think you could ask for a better card really for you guys. Pile number 2. If I can get the camera to focus, there we go. So yeah, and also I love the synchronicities. This file is crazy. Look at this. We've got these like pearls and the like shell here, and I spoke about like Aphrodite, and then in this card we've got pearls here as well, like little pearls on this crystal. Hopefully you can see that okay. But yeah, this is amazing. I feel like, you know, you are going to get to a point where you're going to be so expressive. You're going to be, you know, really growing all these seeds that you've already sown. You're going to start to see some growth. You're going to be able to like, you know, create whatever you want. It's like life is your canvas. Like you'll be able to create, you know, anything that you want in your life. I feel like you're very creative souls, and you're definitely meant to do something related to creativity in your life. And something related to some kind of self-expression, possibly with that life as your canvas. Some of you may be traditional painters, or traditional artists in some way. That, or if you haven't kind of thought about that, it might be something to kind of think about. It might be something to try out, maybe in this kind of like January period that you're going through. Yeah, something related to trying something artistic or trying out some writing or something could be, you know, something that might evolve into something and help you be seen. Like maybe some of you have just struggled with like, yeah, kind of tapping into your true authentic self. It's also interesting, we've got pink, 2 references to pink as well. We've got pink seeds and pink chalcedony. So the color pink or pink crystals could be very useful for you. Rose quartz could be very useful. The crystal pink chalcedony could be very useful for you to help you tap into that creative energy and be like self-loving as you go through that, and feel comfortable in your own skin and so forth. Okay, my lovely pile number 2s, I'm going to leave your reading there. Thank you so, so much for watching. Thank you for all your support and all your likes and subscribes and comments. I always love to hear from you. So if you feel like the reading resonated, I would love to hear. And it just helps me know what content is resonating for you guys and tells the YouTube algorithm to send my content around, which helps my channel to grow. Speaking of growth, so yeah, I so appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here. All the best with your creative endeavors, and I will see you in the next reading. All my love. Bye. Hi there, pile number 3. If you chose the beautiful rainbow boundary card, protecting your true self, this will be your reading. So straight off the bat, pile number 3, I just want to say I absolutely love, love, love your energy. You guys are just the sweetest souls ever. I'm just getting such an arty vibe from you. I feel like you're really colorful people. Like you dress maybe in a very colorful way. You might have blue hair or like dyed hair. You might be painters or something. You wear kind of dungarees a lot. But you don't have to be. Like I'm just kind of picking up a vibe of someone who's just very true to themselves. They're very like sparkly. They're very an authentic soul, like very yeah, just like really colorful, like very expressive, very like quite quirky, quite like kind of like unicorn energy is what I'm getting really for part number 3. Definitely some kind of sort of unicorn energy. But I feel like with the boundary and protecting your true self, there maybe could be a little bit more shielding as kind of the energy. Like I want to sort of protect you, pile 3. It's like you're so sweet, and I feel like maybe some people take advantage of you or like cross your boundaries or something. There's something around needing to put up a boundary to protect your true self, to protect yourself from others who might be trying to like take your energy or maybe even steal some of your ideas or something, which is just so horrible if someone is doing that in your life. I really hope that's not happening. But yeah, kind of connecting with, there's something around like with the color blue, this is linked with the throat chakra and expressing your true self. When I spoke about that a little bit at the beginning with Goddess Saraswati, who can help you to like really step into that power of expressing your true self. So maybe some of you, pile 3, you might be in an environment where it isn't quite safe to speak your true self, to like be fully authentic, to kind of really be out there. I feel like this is kind of your soul. For some of you, this like literally shines through and this is your true personality and people see you like this. But for others of you, it's like this is kind of the energy of your soul, but you're in an environment perhaps where you're not able to like fully express your true self or shine your light or kind of like be truly who you are, like speak up for your own needs or protect your energy in some way, or just be that like beautiful unicorn self that you are. You have to kind of like fit in with the others, like with the muggles, right? Or like with like regular people, or maybe you do a sort of day job or something where you just can't really be this true self. And there's something around like protecting your energy because you have this like beautiful aura and this beautiful like, yeah, this beautiful like unicorn self is what I'm getting. So let's have a look at the other cards and see what they have to say about this message. So first up, for the archetype card, we have the Bardo. Interesting. Yes. So with the eye here in the middle, there's something around like you being safe, being who you truly are in terms of like your ability to sort of connect with the other side. So maybe some of you are like mediums or channels, or you have some like strong connection with your muse, like you might already be a writer, or like you've for a long time, maybe even since childhood, you've just been very able to like connect in with the other side, because the Bardo is all about like being able to kind of cross that boundary type thing, like being able to connect with the muse, connect with, the elemental energies, connect with that sense of, it's like a sense of consciousness that is linked with like, being able to, for example, as a like artist or musician or something. So I feel like you're a very, very sensitive soul, pile number 3. You're able to connect it with this wider consciousness that is like, say the general suffering of humanity, or I'm getting like kind of like sort of significant creative vibes like Bob Dylan or Shakespeare or that kind of level like of person, or I'm hearing Octavia Butler. She was a writer, I believe. In fact, I think she's in my feminist deck. One sec, I'm going to get the card. Okay, sorry. I felt strongly pulled that I need to read this message out about Octavia Butler. So bear with me. I don't normally do this in the middle of a reading, but we're going to go with it because this, for some reason, someone needs to hear this. So Octavia Butler, born 1947 to 2006, fantasy was a solace for Octavia Butler, a painfully shy child who spent much of her time at the Pasadena Central Library. So yeah, I'm picking up some of you may have been very shy, or you may still be very shy with that protecting your true self. Like again, this is your soul, but like out in the real world, you might be very protective and very like shy around other people. She started to write her own stories on a Remington typewriter as a teenager. Her career as an author began to take off in the 1970s with the publication of her novel Pattern Master, set in the near future and featuring many of the themes she would continue to explore, such as hybridity, tolerance, love, and the destruction of hierarchy as we know it. Before she died of a stroke, aged only 58, Butler had created her own legacy, carving out a space for women and people of color in the white male-dominated genre of science fiction. Sorry about that, pal. Number 3. I just had a massive coughing fit, and I think there's something in your energy around, like as I'm picking up on you, it's like, again, with the throat chakra that I mentioned, there might be some throat chakra healing that may be called for you to help you like tap into this ability to connect in with your muse, your inner muse, and receive the like guidance and the wisdom that you're meant to like bring through you and put out in the world, because there's something very big you're meant to do. I feel like part 3, this might be writing a book or a series of books. You might be like Octavia Butler into fantasy writing, especially with that sort of unique energy that you have, that unicorn energy. It's like you may believe in a lot of these things, be able to connect with the other side. You may connect with like possibly I'm hearing like witchcraft or something related to connecting with spirits who have passed, connecting with like aliens even. So yeah, like fantasy writing, science fiction writing, those type of things. It doesn't have to be. It could be like painting related to those kind of things, or I'm getting graphic artist, someone who's like writes some like comic books, or like graphic novels, like with artwork and then writing with it as well, but it's mostly drawings. I'm getting someone who does like, maybe someone out there's doing fan fiction. You'll have to comment below if you feel comfortable. I'd love to hear from you if you're doing something like this already. But I feel like there's something in your energy that's like, or there's something either around you where you don't feel fully safe to express yourself, or you don't feel fully safe to trust this like Bardo archetype within you and really run with it and like put it out there in some way. It's like you're hiding yourself, or you're again with that Octavia Butler, the painfully shy. It's like maybe some of you are quite shy, or you may not be shy around your friends or in day-to-day life, but you might be shy about your work, is what I'm getting. Or you might be shy to put this kind of stuff out there because maybe it's a bit radical, or it's a bit like unique, right? It's a bit like kind of you're a unicorn in this space. You're unique in the type of writing you're doing, or the type of painting you're doing, or whatever your creative pursuit of choices. Next we have, yes, the Hermit, card number 9 in the tarot. This is from the Wild Unknown Tarot by Kim Krans, which is the same creator as the Archetypes deck. So, yeah, we've got this like true self being kind of protected by this like blue boundary, and then we've got the Hermit with this little tortoise here being protected by his shell. And there's a lot of, it's like also with this Thibaudo, there's the eye, which is really beautiful colors. Again, we've got the blue all the way around the outside, but then we've got all this darkness all around the outside. And then this card is very black and white as well. So there's something around like you hiding your true self under a bushel, like you hiding your light under a hedge, or like under this tortoise shell, like you're staying hidden, you're keeping your work hidden, or you're keeping yourself hidden, or you're not really like kind of out there fully. Let's get into the rest of the cards and see if that more insight comes out as to why this might be, or what's going on for you, and how you can step into or fire up that energy. Oh, beautiful. Card number 27, Skadi with authenticity. Yeah, this is beautiful. You can really call on this goddess Skadi. She is I believe she's a Norse goddess, and she's a very powerful goddess. She's all about like really honoring and owning her own authenticity and her own like independence as well. The story in this particular book talks about how she tries to kind of live with her partner or something in a certain area. I think he wants to live by the sea or something, and she tries to do that, but then that doesn't work. And then he tries to live where she lives, but that doesn't work. So in the end, they go to their respective environments that work for them. So for her, it's out in the woods. Like where Skadi needs to be is out in the woods, with connecting with the wild animals, connecting with the moon, connecting with the trees. She's got very similar energy to Artemis in the Greek pantheon. You know, she's got the kind of spear. She's kind of quite like got that independent fierceness, that strength, that like connection with the wild within, the wolf within, you know, that sort of howling at the moon energy. So there's something kind of around like garnering that strength and courage to kind of go your own way, you know, to trust yourself, to trust this connection with the other side, to trust your muse, to trust where you're being guided, to trust your own authentic self and how it wants to express itself, and not kind of hide yourself under this little like shell that you've got. Pile 3, my goodness, you're such a beautiful soul. If only you could see what I can see, because if you could see what I could see, you would be like just out there every day, because I just feel like you are so beautiful. But there's maybe something around like owning your authenticity and having that courage to like put that out in the world and go your own way, and like even if it means not compromising, you know, like Skadi didn't compromise in the end. She tried to, but it didn't work for her. She had to go her own way. She had to go and be in the woods. Now, I don't feel like this is saying like, oh, you need to break up with your partner or anything like that, for those of you that are in a relationship. But it might mean, you know, I did pick up that environment was quite important for this pile. So like, yeah, again, with the boundaries, like creating healthy boundaries so that you can feel comfortable being your true self and shining your true light. So maybe some of you are in an environment where you don't feel comfortable doing that. Like you're just sort of somehow like a fish out of water is what I'm hearing. So maybe you're just in the wrong environment. Like maybe you're this beautiful rainbow child, if you like, or unicorn child, and you're trying to be in a very like black and white career or something, or like job or something that's very formal and, you know, kind of doesn't let you really be who you really are. And it's just, yeah, um, a bit like in a box, keeping you in a box. And you have to kind of hide all that true, this beautiful rainbow self, yeah, under your little tortoise shell. And so it might be that like assessing your environment is one of the things that you need to do to help step into your creative power and creating the right boundaries so that you can be free to like express your true self. So maybe that does mean whether it's leaving a relationship or something. Sorry about that, pile number 3. I just got interrupted with a phone call. So that might actually be something you're experiencing, because I think I was talking about environments, and it might be that like, yeah, whatever environment you're in, whether it's a work environment, a relationship situation, a home situation, a creative, like maybe some of you are in like a creative collab, like a yeah, like a co-working space or something, like a space with lots of other creative people around you or something, and there's a lot of maybe interruptions or things where like you don't quite have like the free space or time to kind of really focus on you and like being connected with this like bardo self of yourself, this bard self, you know, the muse, that inner writer self. It's like you're getting distracted, or you're getting pulled about by other people's needs for you. It's like, you know, whatever they want to know, whatever they need, you know, you end up getting pulled into it, or like you end up compromising your needs or compromising your time and energy that you would have spent on your creative work to help someone else, or to like be with someone else, or to support someone else, or something along those lines. So there's something around boundaries, creating like some healthy boundaries, carving out the time, space, and energy for you to be able to focus on this work. And actually, this can also be with the hermit. I feel like it's kind of saying two things. It's both like you've been hermiting yourself in the sense of like you're kind of hiding your light, so to speak, under a bush. You know, you're hiding your true authentic self away from the world. But there's also maybe a need to actually, to a certain extent, to protect your energy, hermit yourself to like the environment that is best for you, in order to like give yourself the right environment and the right like space to be able to connect with this muse self and like put your true work out there. So, you know, tune in and you'll know like which side of it resonates. So some of you, like you're hiding your work, and if you know that you're doing that, or you're hiding your true self, then this hermit card is kind of saying like there's a need to kind of be more authentic to yourself and like come out from under that wee shell and like, you know, shine your light, shine your true self out there. But for others of you, this is saying like if you you know you're already in your like true self to an extent, but you're just maybe not in the right environment that creates the necessary support for you to focus on what you want to do and get it out in the world. So just see which one kind of resonates the most for you. Next we've got yes, exactly, these are all just lining up so well. I love this. Your path, card number 36. Have courage to follow your own path. I love this. This is exactly right. Like that, I feel like you are meant to do something that is like in some way connecting with that muse and bringing through those like stories or inspirations or like paintings or whatever it might be, and like, you know, really unique things. Like you have a really unique vision for things, and it's bringing those through, tapping into your authentic voice and following the path that you're being called towards. We've got 2 full moons here, so possibly doing a ritual on the full moon could be really useful for you to help tap into this like the fullness of who you are, right? Like, you know, maybe writing something around like releasing any energies around you that are holding you back, or any kind of, whether it's other people or self-talk or something that's like keeping you in some way, like distracting you or not respecting your boundaries or like stopping you from following your path. There's something around like needing to kind of really like, yeah, kind of harness your energy. It's interesting. We've got a lot of like circles here. So you've got this rainbow boundary with the rainbow that's around her, and also this circle of light, if I can focus the camera, this like circle of blue light all around her hair. And then in this card, we've got this woman holding this sort of vision, this like ball, which has got like a forest with a path in it. So she's like protecting her own path. And it's interesting. This is in the woods. And I spoke about Skadi and her story about how she needed to go off into the woods. So maybe some of you, it's like going off on a creative writer's retreat could be useful if there's one that's come up and it's been like in a forest somewhere, or you've seen a little writer's cottage. It could be going there so that you can connect with this bard, you can connect with the muse, you know, you can tap into that energy. But more generally speaking, it's about like going into the woods is about, you know, following the path unknown, right? It's like going through that sort of tunnel into like the wildness of the woods where you don't know where it's going to lead you. You've just got to kind of follow the bard or the muse, or however you want to think of it, your intuition, your creative ideas. You've just got to follow them and see where they lead you. You've got to trust that, like, you have to go your own way. I feel like I've been saying that so many times during this reading. It's like, is there a Frank Sinatra song about that? Something about, yeah, I did it my way. Sorry for singing. My goodness, I don't know why that had to come out like that. But anyway, we've got card number 22, invasive. Yeah. So what was I saying about, I just had that interruption. So again, environment is really important, because you might have a lot of like invasive energies around you, which is why it's so important to create this boundary for yourself, for your creative energy, for this unique project, or for your authenticity, for your path, like your unique path, for your visions. There's a lot of like, yeah, boundary kind of energy, because you might have a lot of like these kind of dragonflies buzzing around this woman's head, like other people pulling on your energy, or other people's ideas coming in and kind of invading your space, or like this could be invasive thoughts, you know. So it could be like setting up, like, say, a meditation practice where you can like create a healthy boundary around like your aura, so that you don't have so many invasive thoughts, and you can help connect with like your inner muse, you know, like connect with your inner light, connect with your true self, connect with your true path, because you might have too much like mental chatter kind of coming in and clouding your judgment, or clouding your mind kind of thing, like just yeah, invasive thoughts is what I'm getting. Some of you might struggle from invasive thoughts. So yeah, it's really important to like almost like create a boundary. If it's not if it's not creating a boundary to stop other people being invasive on your energy, it's creating a boundary around your own thoughts to stop your own negative self-talk, right? From stopping you from following your truth and being your true authentic self. So yeah, I feel like with this, we've got a lot of blue and green colors here. So the green is linked with the heart chakra, which is all about finding that like emotional fulfillment and feeling happy doing like what you want to do. And the blue is all about, as I mentioned, your throat chakra and expressing your true self. So I feel like it's like only when you are expressing who you truly are will you be happy. It's not by following someone else's path. It's not by going down the path known. It's not by going down a linear path, or it going and doing what your partner's doing, or living there, or going and doing what your family have done, or living with them. It's doing your own path. It's doing what is unique to you. Following that unique vision for your own life. That is going to be the thing that will bring you true inner fulfillment and inner happiness. And finally, we have Petalite, cosmic downloads, higher heart healing, see the bigger picture. Yeah, I feel like this is for those of you that might have been in an environment, again, that has been, I was just going to say controlling. So maybe some of you have had this like true self be really controlled, so you haven't been able to express your true self, like and that's maybe also why you're painfully shy. For those of you that identify with that aspect of the reading, where you just feel really shy to be your true self, because maybe you had that true self like suppressed or demeaned or ridiculed, or you were teased or bullied, or just didn't have that part of yourself encouraged when you were younger. And there's something around like healing that pain of like almost like abandonment of your true self, that pain of where you had to walk away from your uniqueness. You had to like suppress your uniqueness or hide your uniqueness or cover it up, kind of thing. That there might be a little bit of heart healing to do there, because with that like higher heart, it's like being able to see that maybe these things weren't so personal to you. And I don't mean like, oh, like pile 3, you should just get over it, like it wasn't personal, like they didn't mean it. No, I don't mean it like that. I mean it as like, with that see the bigger picture, it's kind of like you will start to see, and we've got this eye here as well, you will start to see, the more you step into the truth of who you really are, why you maybe grew up in an environment, or you've been in an environment, whether it's a work environment, a relationship, a home, why that environment wasn't supportive of you. And you had to kind of maybe create this hard shell to protect your true self. And there's some kind of bigger picture around that process that's going to reveal itself to you. It's like those conditions that were so severe maybe caused you to disassociate, perhaps when you were a child or something. So maybe you suffered from some kind of trauma or emotional trauma or something like that. And I'm so sorry if you did, pile 3. No child deserves to go through anything like that. But if you did, there's a possibility that some of that happened to kind of deliberately force you kind of out of your immediate environment of interacting perhaps with other, say, regular children or whatever, and up into your imagination and into the world of the bardo, into the world of the storyteller, of the muse, of fantasy and science fiction and crazy out there unique ideas. I'm getting sort of Aquarius vibes. Some of you might have Aquarius in your chart. You could be like inventors even. It's like you're able to see a picture of humanity that is so different, and it's like that you're going to see the bigger picture. You're going to understand why that all had to happen, like why your kind of voice or your authenticity was suppressed, why you were so shy, or why you were in these environments that weren't supportive of you when you were younger. Once you're finally able to kind of like create that boundary, step into your authenticity, follow your own path, trust that path, trust this bard part of yourself, that storyteller part, and see where it guides you. Create the boundary so that there's no more like invasive people around you, or invasive thoughts distracting you or discouraging you or whatever. You'll start to see why all of that had to happen, and it will, you will find upliftment eventually. It's like this beautiful card is so, it's like, we've got these mountains and this glen, these sort of forests with like a beautiful river running through it, like a stream running through it, a mountain stream. It's very sort of pure energy. So petalite crystal could be a very useful crystal for you. We've got lots of daisies on this card as well, which daisies are linked with like, that kind of free, authentic, like just, sweet, pure expression. the stream is just flowing. This blue stream is just flowing. And I feel like that is going to eventually happen. You are going to get to that stage, but there just might be a little bit of a healing process around whatever it was that kind of caused you to shut that part of you down or shy away from the rest of the world. It's like, yeah, with cosmic downloads, you'll get kind of downloads about that, or you'll get downloads about like a book, you know, if you're a writer, or like a painting or a film or a whatever it is that you're meant to create. Once you're in the right environment and you're following your own path, you'll get a download about all of it, about everything that's happened to you, about like what you're meant to be doing, about like the next step on your journey, about your path, about like how to put this work out in the world. It's like it'll open up. It's like a portal. You can see this woman here is, oh, she's like got this ball, and it's like a portal to step into, to follow. Have the courage to follow your own path. And I feel like this is destined for you with that star there. It's like this bardo, this card came out right under the bardo card. This being a bardo, being a bard, you know, being a speaker for humanity, like bringing down ideas, unique ways of seeing the world, or, you know, like I spoke about at the beginning about Octavia Butler. She had these visions for how humanity could be, you know, and she wrote it into her science fiction books, you know. So whether it's that type of writing or whatever it is that you do, it's like this portal will just will kind of open for you. And you will be guided. Like, you will be guided as to like the next steps once you have the courage to like take those first steps, I feel like, and create some boundaries around you so that you can really step into this more powerfully. Okay, my beautiful pile number 3s, I'm going to leave your reading there. I feel like that's all the messages I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching and letting me read for you today. Leave me a comment below if this resonated. I always love to hear from you, and I'll always reply if I can. Hit the like button if it resonated, because it helps tell me which content is resonating for you and tells the YouTube algorithm to send my content around. And hit the subscribe button if you're not already, and the notification bell so you'll be notified when I next upload a reading. Thank you so much for being here. All the best with your creative journey, and I will see you in the next reading. All my love. Bye. Hi there, pile number 4. If you chose the beautiful soft breeze, allowing flow and ease, card number 4, this will be your reading. So right off the bat, pile number 4, I feel like there's really not a huge amount that you need to know about firing up your creative power. I feel like you kind of already are fired up. When I tap into your energy, it's like you're maybe already somewhere along the stages of having some kind of creative project going, or a creative endeavor or creative career, or just using like creative manifestation in your life. You know, you might be someone who maybe you're not like, say, a traditional creative like a painter or something, but you're just very creative in your day-to-day life, right? Like you might be very good at like, you know, doing sort of creative cooking or crafts or something like that. But for many of you, I feel like you are a creator, or you do some kind of creative expression in your life. You might be someone who started like a channel, or you've started a book, or you've started a business, or something along those lines. And you're somewhere along the stages, like you've already started it and you're somewhere along the stages of getting it going, and you're kind of already stepping into your power in some ways with that. But I feel like the energy for you is less about kind of like go, 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 and like crush it, and like what's the next goal, and like we've got to kind of get out there and do stuff, and we've got to fire up the creative power. I feel like you already have all that energy, and it's more about getting like balancing that energy with a little bit of like yin energy, this soft breeze energy of like, you know, you can see this character on the card is like she's just got her arms out, and I feel like this is like their energy of like a bird, right? Like when it tries to get up from the ground, maybe it's kind of like, it's got to kind of like flap its wings quite a bit to get up and sort of over the trees. And then, then it can kind of soar, and the breeze can kind of just carry it. And I feel like you're kind of at that point now, maybe in your career or in your project or generally in your life, where you're kind of allowing that breeze to just come and kind of carry you to where you need to be. And it's just getting comfortable and familiar with like allowing flow and ease, like allowing flow of things to come into your life, like reciprocal opportunities or value or you know, yeah, like a flow of abundance or something for the work that you're putting out, or, you know, just a flow of inspiration, a flow of ideas, like feeling at ease with your creative skills, and like, you know, getting into like flow state more easily. It's like you maybe have the discipline side of things and the focus side of things and the routine and so forth, and the structure, but it's like now it's kind of like surrendering. You know, she's in a very surrendered posture here, like her feet are outward, her hands are like out, she's got her eyes closed. Hopefully you can see that. Such cute artwork on these cards. Yeah, her hands are just spread out. There's all this like all this like beautiful growth all around her. So it's like just allowing growth to happen, allowing sort of ease to happen in your life. Like maybe you're used to kind of getting things done in a certain way and being quite focused and like practical and so forth, but like now it's like, okay, how can we do this with more relaxation and like ease? How can we invite the energy of ease to come in so that this just like flows, and I can kind of go with the like winds of inspiration when they kind of just lift me up and carry me. So let's see what other cards we've got for you, pile number 4. So yes, the bridge. Oh my gosh, I love this. This is very like, I always get kind of Gemini energy with this card. It's kind of rainbow bridge card. So we're in we've just had the Gemini new moon, actually, if you're watching this at the time of upload. So this could be a good cycle during this kind of new moon cycle. We're still in the new moon energies. It only happened a few days ago, so if you are watching it at the time of upload, you could totally still do a new moon meditation or a new moon ritual or something like that to kind of like tap into that Gemini energy. But I just feel like it's kind of like the bridge, these two hands. It's like the lovers, right? You know, the Gemini is the sign of the lovers. It's the sign of like the polar opposites, right? The yin and the yang, the masculine and the feminine, it's like, you know, it can be seen as sort of two-sided, you know, but it's just all about like seeing, it's all about like, yeah, two different sides of something, seeing two different sides, seeing two different perspectives, and then working out how to bridge those. So I feel like for you, you're maybe used to kind of this perhaps more masculine perspective of like, okay, this is what I need to do to get stuff done, and I've got a routine and I've got a structure in place, and I've been working really hard, and I've been kind of like pushing to get sort of things set up or something. And there's maybe a point now where it's kind of like the other side is that like flow state and ease state and like allowing and being receptive, right? And being on your kind of yin energy, which is that very open, receptive, like just receiving, you know, the like guidance that you need, or receiving the inspiration that you need. You know, this could be, you could see this as kind of spirit, right? Like offering you like sort of inspiration, offering you ideas, offering you something like offering you kind of like light or like downloads even to help you like kind of tap into this power more strongly, and then you being like receptive to that. You know, so there's some kind of like bridging that you're in a process of doing. This could also be like, yeah, bridging, creating the bridge from an inspired idea. Like maybe some of you have had the inspiration for something. So say, for example, I'm just going to use the example of a writer. So say you've had the example of an idea. Say you've had an idea come through. about, say, a book, and you have like kind of, you've got all the equipment and you've got your laptop and you've got it all set up and you've kind of got a routine going and everything like that, and you keep sitting down and trying to write about this idea that you've had, but maybe feeling a bit of writer's block, right? Like the idea just doesn't seem to flow. Like you've had the initial idea, but the rest of it just doesn't seem to flow. And you're having troubles bridging from the conception of the idea, or just like the concept or the outline, through to like, the actual, where it all flows through. And you get that, like the full download, the full rainbow, right? The full, like all of the characters and all of the rest of the storyline. And you're kind of like, hello, like trying to get it, but like the only way to really get the muse to like hurry up, I'm picking up a vibe of someone who's quite impatient. So some of you might be fire signs, but it doesn't have to be. You could have fire energy in your chart quite strongly, because there's like a sort of, I don't know, Aries energy. I'm getting like impatience to kind of get going and kind of like get it out there or something, or like you could be Sagittarius as well. But yeah, there's this energy of like, okay, the only way to bridge this, to get this full concept, this full, say, book, if it's a book or whatever the creative project is, or the manifestation, the thing you're trying to manifest, the only way to bridge that is to be in a soft, receptive, feminine energy, an open energy, an energy of flow and ease. Because if you're like trying, or you're forcing, or you're pushing, or you're doing, it's not gonna be able to bridge it, essentially, is what I'm getting. Let's have a look at your other cards. Mother of Wands, exactly. Yes, exactly. This is equivalent to the Queen of Wands. This is the Kim Krans Wild Unknown Tarot. So the queens are mothers in this deck. And yeah, I feel like this is like, the eggs are like the creative ideas, and the snake is like coiled around these ideas, these little creative babies of hers, her little baby snakes, her little creative babies, and she's like nurturing them and protecting them. And like, yeah, again, Wands is fire energy, so I'm picking up strong fire energy from some of you. I feel like most of you already have that within you, but it's like having that fire energy, but balancing the masculine side of it with that feminine side of like that, like being receptive, being nurturing to yourself, like nurturing this idea, like, allowing yourself, maybe going for like forest walks for some of you, like where you connect with nature. That might be really helpful. Way to like help yourself sort of surrender and just connect with like the nature spirits, and like, release any control over how the idea needs to look. Because I feel like this isn't a linear process. This is a cyclical process with that snake. And there might be a bit of a like, I'm also getting a kind of death and rebirth energy, because snakes are symbolic of like shedding skin and like going through death and rebirth. They're able to kind of like, shed the skin of the old to rebirth the new snake that's, underneath it, right? So maybe there's like as part of this bridging process, there's a shedding of some old skin, shedding of maybe some ego parts of you that are like trying to control the process, or trying to make it look a certain way, or trying to be really perfectionistic about it, or trying to like get it done in a certain time frame or something like that. Some kind of like egoic, and I don't mean, when I say like egoic control, your guides are not meaning like stop being egotistical, like you're really arrogant. No, nothing to do with that. It's like the ego, which is the part of you that's trying to keep you safe, is trying to sort of control this process, because it like doesn't want to say fall flat on your face, right? Which is a like perfectly natural human like endeavor, generally speaking, in life. It's a perfectly natural human desire to not want to fall flat on your face. So that's the role of the ego, is to do that. And so maybe, you've got a certain way along with a project, like maybe you're writing a book, and maybe you've told people that you're writing this book, or you might even have an agent or a publisher waiting on this book or something. And there's a sort of an element of egoic control that's kind of getting in the way of allowing the flow of the muse and that like that sort of feminine muse energy to like just like come through, to bridge through from the other side. It's like there's you kind of pulling this energy. Actually, I feel like it's the other way around. I think this is you. This is quite masculine hand. I feel like it's quite straight, and then I feel like the energy of this is softer, which we've got soft breeze here, and it's like the energy you're trying to pull is quite a soft energy. It's like, you can't control the muse. You can't control when inspiration strikes. It could strike at the most random time, like at 2 a.m, or when you're not thinking about it, when you're doing the dishes or you're driving somewhere. And it's usually at the most impractical time ever. From experience of doing writing and things in the past, it'll hit when you don't have a pen around you, or, hence why a lot of the best ideas are like, people have written them, famous like film ideas, on the back of a napkin, because that's when inspiration strikes. That's when the muse is going to come through, when you can't control her, when you can't tell her to come out, when you're not sitting there at your laptop all perfectly with everything, your little routine and your notebook and everything there all lined up. No, she doesn't give a shit about that. She's going to come through when you're like walking in the woods and you don't have a pen and paper, and then you have to like run all the way home and like quickly write down all the ideas. Like, she will come when she is ready. Like, you can't rush it. You can't rush the muse. Like, this energy will flow to you when you're in a state of like allowance, when you're in a state of receptivity, when you're in a state of flow and just being receptive, essentially, like in a state of being. So not in a state of doing, in a state of like just being who you really are. So like that's why it often happens when you're just walking or you're doing day-to-day chores that you're not really thinking about, because you're just being, or you're maybe watching TV or something like that. Next we have a moonlit dance, feminine energy. Oh my goodness, these cards today are bonkers. They are like, I just shuffle them all and have them that way round, and then I pick them out for the reading, and I am blown away, especially this time, with how many synchronicities there are. Like, they are all just lining up. Each card, it's like the next card that I flip is just confirming exactly what I just talked about. So yeah, feminine energy. I've just been speaking about this. I don't think I need to say any more, but this is confirming like getting into your feminine energy, like maybe going for walks in the woods, as we've got in this card again. Dancing is another one. So dancing could be a good way to shake up that feminine energy, to get into that creative energy again, to allow that flow and ease, right? Maybe some of you are dancers, and you're trying to come up with a like choreography or something. So like getting out of like a traditional environment, like maybe you're trying to do this in a studio or something really formal, but it's like, get out under the moonlight, get out to the woods, go somewhere in nature, go somewhere else where you can connect with that like feminine part of yourself, that receptive part of yourself, to receive that inspiration. Like, you're not going to necessarily get it in, it's not to say like routine is wrong or anything, or like having a space where you can do this stuff is like not how you're meant to go about it. It's just that if you've been facing some kind of like writer's block or creative's block or choreographer's block or painter's block. I don't know if there's such a thing. I've never really heard of painter's block. You'll have to tell me if you're a painter and you get painter's block. But if you've been facing that, it's key to step into your feminine energy, and that will help you to receive the inspiration that you want to kind of get this going. Next we have patience, through the darkness to the light. Exactly. Yeah. So like I said, it's like a very different energy for you, pile number 4. It's less about kind of taking action and more about like being really patient with yourself, being patient with your muse, allowing this vision to kind of like bridge across, like to come through from the darkness to the light. Like your it's like, again, look at these two energies. They're very, very similar. I love this snake, how she's like nurturing and like covering her creative babies, and this woman, how her arm is like covering this portal, which is like from the darkness into the light, which is like the portal of your creative project or whatever it is. there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like you will be able to see it. And she's got a scythe here, which is like that kind of energy of you will be able to harvest eventually. You will be able to like harvest this project, or you will be able to get a harvest from it, but it's like patience. Like you're not at that point yet. It's not that point in summer. Some of you may be watching this from the southern hemisphere. It might be like literally dark where you are at the moment, like going, you might be in having your winter solstice, because I'm getting a very sort of winter solstice energy from this particular card. But yeah, it's just very similar, like that nurturing, that kind of like just holding space for it, being in the receptive zone, knowing that you're going to be able to pull it from the darkness into the light. You can see with this bridge card as well, this is all black in the background. And then it's like these hands, like the hand of your muse, if you're like offering you this, like all the light that you need, all the ideas that you need, and then you being able to like bridge them and turn them into something. So yeah, having patience with this bridging process is highly important in getting it to the other side. So next we have, yes, exactly. My goodness. Reasoned, card number 33. Yeah, you're in your logical mind. Power number 4. I feel like you are in your rational mind. You are in like very much like naturally you're good at being very logical, being very reasoned about things, being very rational about things, which are all brilliant skills to have and all very necessary in life. And when we say how important it is to go into feminine energy, we're not by any means knocking masculine energy whatsoever, or saying like, oh, you don't need masculine energy. It's about finding the balance, right? It's about finding like the harmony between the two, right? It's the Gemini thing, it's the lovers, it's both sides. You need both. We need both to be at our maximum potential. With any creative project, you need both that feminine side of being able to be in flow, to receive these ideas, receive these inspirations, receive the wisdom or whatever it is you're pulling through. And then we need the masculine side, that once you've got that those like creative babies have been kind of like born, or like not so much born, but I guess like conceived, and then you've like as a mother you've kind of nurtured that idea, then you can start springing into the like the sort of more, say, Athena energy, like the strategic energy, that like disciplinary energy of like, okay, now I've got to like craft this, now I've got to like take all that inspiration and turn it into something. I've got to like apply my rational reasoned brain to these ideas that I've received through, that have flowed through me, and then I've got to like sort of put it out in the world, so to speak. So it's finding that harmony, finding that balance between those two sides. I'm just being drawn to the fact that like this card is kind of purple and black, and it's got like this kind of the helmet, as symbolic of that like kind of warrior strategic energy, that kind of quite masculine energy. And then we've got this soft breeze card which is also quite purple in the background, but then this little sort of woman creature, fairy creature, is in this like soft pink dress, and she's just very like floaty and outside with her arms open. It's kind of like quite opposite energies, but again, it's like harnessing both of those things, marrying both that like feminine energy and that masculine energy is going to be the key to bridging. Whoops, sorry, I bumped the camera. The key to bridging this project and getting it from the darkness into the light of day. It's the key to like birthing these creative babies, and again, this is a good process to learn, because this will be something you'll do time and time again. If you are a writer and you're gonna face writer's block, right, for every project. I mean, there are famous writers like Elizabeth Gilbert and so forth who talk about this. She's written a whole book about this called Big Magic. That's why books like The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron is like still just so popular to this day, because like it doesn't matter how many books you've written, you might still find that you keep coming up against things like writer's block or creative blocks or whatever, because there's just always going to be evolving stages of this process. And so really learning how to get into that receptive energy, that feminine energy, where you can allow that like muse through you and not sort of be controlling of it in that egoic way, that will help you to like harness the best of both worlds, harness the best of that masculine and feminine energy, and get your work out in the world. And finally, we have Garnet and Lady's Mantle, womb healing, sexual power and sovereignty. Woo! So yeah, Garnet might be a powerful crystal for you at this time to help with this. Womb healing, so for those of you that identify as women, you have a womb, literally doing some kind of like womb healing exercise could be very helpful to help this creative energy. It may be that in your life you've been more comfortable or familiar operating from a masculine energy, and you may be a little bit disconnected from your womb and its power, because wombs are very, very powerful, not only for conceiving and birthing physical children, like actual children, human children, but also for conceiving and growing creative babies. Like any kind of creative project is for a woman, you can really tap into that energy. It's sacral chakra energy. So the sacral chakra is sits around your sort of reproductive organs, so it includes your womb. And actually we've got a lot of orange here, which is linked with the sacral chakra, and a lot of like with the wands, that's fire, and fire is linked with the sacral chakra. And the sun has also just come down on your reading, so yeah, we've got the sun energy here as well. So yeah, there's something around maybe some of you are trying to conceive a child, so this whole process of bridging from like, you know, getting an actual child to kind of grow to full form, you know, is a process of getting into that feminine energy, doing some womb healing and allowing that flow and ease of this to come through, and you know, being really patient with the process. But for others of you, I feel like this is less to do with like a physical child. For most of you, I feel like it's less to do with a physical child and more to do with like creative babies. And so doing some kind of womb healing process could be very, very helpful. There's various ones on YouTube, I believe, or you can look up on Google. But it is a process that I did a few years ago, and I will tell you it made a really big difference in my life. Like I had a lot of blocks in that area. Again, dancing, actually, you know, we had this moonlit dance, feminine energy. Dancing did a lot to help unblock my sacral chakra as well, and like help unblock my womb and get me back into my creative energy and creative flow again, so that I could do all this, right? Like I'm a part of what I do, even though I'm not a sort of in a traditional creator's role. But I have a YouTube channel, right? And I create these videos and I receive and channel. I'm that bridge between, like a medium between like spirit, and I take those messages and put them out. So, you know, I have to be in both masculine and feminine energy to do that. So I would highly recommend womb healing if you are a woman, or just generally speaking, it doesn't matter how you identify, but just like sacral chakra healing. So it doesn't have to be specifically womb, but just sacral chakra healing. Healing that sensual power, healing that sexual power, healing that sense of self-sovereignty over your own energy, over your body, will really help you like harness both of these powerful forces in your life, bridge both of these powerful forces so that you can take any ideas that you get and like bring them out into the world. Okay, my lovely powerfuls, I feel like that's all the messages I have for you today. Thank you so, so much for being here. Please leave me a comment below if this resonated. I always love to hear from you, and hit the like button. It just helps tell me which content is resonating and helps also tell the YouTube algorithm to send my content around, which helps my little baby channel to grow. I so appreciate each and every one of you who has been doing that. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already, and the notification bell so you'll be notified when I next upload a reading. Thank you so, so much for letting me read for you today. All the best with your creative journey, and I will see you in the next reading. All my love. Bye.